Okay, so we'll just get started. Uh, Good morning, I guess, Shakira.
Yeah, good. Yeah, thank you. And good evening, everyone
Uh,
in India.
yes,
Hope you guys all are doing well and good. Yeah, I guess, yeah.
yes. So we just wait for questions. Like if anyone have any questions, they'll be asking.
Okay, so I will introduce myself first. So my name is Sakit Tafi. I'm from India, Nagpur, Maharashtra. I've been born and brought up in Nagpur itself. I did my undergrad in my hometown itself. Uh, I did computer science and engineering. I graduated in November 2020 with a degree in computer science and engineering. I I did internship with VIH Group as a vibrate assessment mentor. I completed my internship in August, and now I'm doing my master's in cybersecurity at the George Washington University, dislocated in Washington DC. I just came in August, and I will be completing my master's in 2023. And so I'm here to help you guys if whatever questions you have regarding study abroad, how is it feels here, how is the course curriculum, is it good, is it manageable, how to get loan, and anything you have in mind. I would love to answer and help you out, guys. So I'm ready. Keep shooting your questions.
Hi, sir.
Hello, hello, Viren. How are you?
I am fine, sir. You doing good in Washington, sir?
Yeah, yeah. This is very great.
Sir, I just wanted to ask, like, what is the scope for the job in foreign and what is the difference, like, as compared to that of India?
So you are comparing India with especially United States. So as you already imagine, it is a very huge difference. In India, the security is not like top priority till yet, but here in US, even a small store will require a security team. And any even like a small business will require a security team. So they have more openings, but there are also other constraints as an international students. So any job or any company that deals with the federal government, say they don't hire security, they don't hire international students for their security position because they need some kind of security clearance, and you can only get a security clearance if you are a resident or green card holder. So that reduces the seas of opportunities available there. And definitely I would say more opportunities are here because security is a big thing here. Like now in India, it started growing, but here it's already grown, and it is keep going. So definitely there are more positions, more opportunities, but there are some constraints as an international students. So after that is almost like same, but yeah.
Okay, sir.
I think one thing I have observed like there are more domains available here. So in India, it's always like a cyber security consultant, or it's like in India the position require you to be open, very open. You need to know a lot. Like you have to, their job description is like very broad. You might have to work on this and this, but here are the positions are a lot in comparison of differentiate. Or I might be wrong because I haven't looked much in Indian job market because I was not looking for a job while I was in India. So here are like many position, IDS expert, IPS expert intern, software engineering intern, offensive security intern, SOC analyst intern. There are a lot. So I think it's like both. Definitely in the technology, uh, US are a little bit ahead of India, but India is also very growing rapidly, and also the perspective job market is more or less like same both in both places. That is the other thing. You have a little bit constraint over here, but India, you don't have any constraint. You can work anywhere.
Also, sir, I wanted to ask like that: is it possible to directly get a job in the US, or we have to pursue master there?
So no, you can't enter in United States directly. So they have different categories of visa that you can get to work, come here. So I think the if you are a newcomer, so that's the only way. You have to need a student visa. So that only you can come here, and after your masters, you have a 3 years of extension on your visa, and you can pursue the job experience here. Okay, and then you have to apply for your extension of visa, and that is lottery based. So if you get selected, you will get more extension. Otherwise, it's just 5-year visa. The other way is internal transfer from company to company. If you are working in India, IBM India, and you are very good employee, you are working on a US based client, and your reputation is very good. You have worked there for 5 years in India, IBM India, and they think you should go to the overseas to the client side. Then they will do the transfer, and you will get H1B visa, and you will get transferred. But I think the only way as a student who doesn't have a lot of experience and don't have a chance of internal transfer is the only way to. You have to study first, and then you get a 3 years to work there, and in these 3 years you can apply for visa extension 3 times, and if you get selected, you will get extension. Otherwise, you have to come back.
So then my another question.
Yeah. So, good evening, Saqib. This is Ahmad.
Yeah.
So, this silly question, but I think it is important. So, I'd like to ask about your experience, specifically regarding the MS. If I'm not wrong, you're doing the MS in cybersecurity, right?
Yes.
So, what are the course content? What are the course modules? And what are the domains that you specifically are interested in? And what is your experience so far?
Okay, so let's start with your course curriculum. So course curriculum is very flexible depending upon your university. So it is not like a hardcore. It's like the same in India. So you go different college, you will have different curriculum. So in my curriculum, actually my master's is like master's in cybersecurity and specialization in computer science. So my master's is focused towards computer security, more like software security, computer science security, compared to like a tool-based security. So my curriculum is like I have to, overall in US, you have to take some amount of credits to complete your master's. So I will talk about my university. So George Washington University, for cybersecurity curriculum, they need 30 credits. 30 credits, and one course is equal to 3 credits. So I have to take 10 courses to fulfill 30 credits. So, and as an international students, I have to take at least 3 courses in a semester. That is like 9 credits. So in 4 semester, I will be done with like 30 credits. In 3 semester, I will be done with the 27 credits, and I will be only left with one course that I'm in 4th semester, just because it's like my last semester, and I have fulfilled all other courses requirement. So I can only in 4th semester I can take only one course. Otherwise, I have to take at least 3 courses to maintain my visa status. So in my university cybersecurity curriculum, we have to take 3 computer science courses. That is the design and analysis of algorithms, computer architecture, and software paradigms. that is, I don't like, to be honest, I don't like these three courses, but I have to take it. And I also know the usefulness of them. Maybe I don't like it, but I accept it in future. I need them, so I'm doing it. So I have taken all of these three courses this semester, and from next semester I will be taking courses like computer security, network security, and e-commerce security. So I'm excited. So as of now, I haven't officially done any security courses, and those who you guys don't know, but I already mentioned that I come in August 2021. So this is only my first semester. I am done with my final exams like last 2 weeks, and I already got my marks and everything. And I'm waiting for January to start my new semester. And about my interest. So my personal interest lies in offensive security till day, but I am trying to defer it to the security engineering. I'm willing to shift into coding securities, like software security. While I will be coding, not a production level coding, but I will be building up security tools or security features for a company. And my experience so far, my experience is very good here, and like especially in education. I had very hard time studying algorithms. So in India, I also studied algorithm. So in India, it was like, what is backtracking? So we just have to give the definition. Yeah, backtracking is this, just some example. But here, especially my professor is like very, very experienced. So in his exam and homeworks and everything, he just he come up with a question and give it to the students. Something like you have given an an array, unsorted array, some constraints, and use backtracking and uh, bounce and bounce algorithm, DFS, BFS, to find out the longest ramp available in the array. This is the one example one example. So he gives like 5 to 6 questions like this, and if you know, then only you can do it. Otherwise,
Yeah,
you can't do it.
yeah, definitely. The thing that you lastly said regarding the example that you quoted for the backtracking, so all the engineers in the house could actually relate to that about the definition part you said. That's so true, because we are not taught about the application of the code or application of the subject. We are only taught about the theoretical part involved. And if only you have the interest and guts to do and face
Okay.
the challenges and hurdles that come in your way, that's when you are going to actually do it about the subject. Yeah. Also, I was just searching for your profile on LinkedIn, because that's what we do. So I saw that you also have done this, what do you call it, IBM security analyst certification or the course, right? So how is your experience about that? Would you suggest me to do that as well? And also about your master's program, would you at any time suggest me to do the master's program, or do you have any better plan for upcoming graduates or upcoming people?
Okay, regarding the certification I did from IBM, I learned a lot from it. It was very long course, so they have like 8 parts, and every part is like 4 week part, 4 week. It
Also,
takes.
the last part is the assessment, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, last fire is like in every after every week you have a little bit of assessment, but at the last part you have assessment for all of the 8 parts. It's like, I remember it took me like 1 hour to complete the assessment itself. So I got it for free. So if you also got it for free, and if you don't have anything in your mind that you want to do something specifically, that you want to go into security coding or security engineering or offensive security pen testing, if you're focused about something, so I won't suggest you to take learn it. But if you are just starting and you're curious and you just want to learn everything, a little bit of everything, then definitely do that course. And to get it for free, there is a I will also tell you a way. So I think they might still have this option that you apply for financial aid.
Yeah,
You
definitely they have it. They have it in the
yeah,
Coursera website.
yeah. So just you can apply for financial aid, and after 15 days, they will let you know if you are selected or not. That's how I got it. I applied for all of 8 courses in it, and I got a financial aid for all of 8. So that's why I did it, and definitely it was worth studying. They have like they have covered all of the aspects of cybersecurity, from offensive to defensive, from IPS to IDS, everything, from compliance policies, everything. And regarding if I suggest you to do it or not, the masters, so definitely the curriculum and the studies are very very practical. So the other course I have that I have architecture and software paradigms. So in all of them, we have like, instead of homeworks, assignments, we have like project. We have given a statement, or the professor told us this is the project I want. We have rubricals. So after three, in part one, we have to come up with this requirements. We have to complete it. We have to build the project and submit it. He will grade it. Next part, he wants something more. We will add features, submit it. So instead of homeworks, we have projects here, and then a final term. Definitely a final term. So the study is more practical. Uh, and definitely, if you want, or if you already have in your mind and you're willing to study, definitely it is worth. The only thing I will tell you, because when I was coming, every senior was saying it is good, it is easy, you can do it easily. But definitely, I don't feel the same. I don't feel the same. So it is very tough. I thought Indian studies are more harder, but I'm telling you, if you haven't studied in India like me, you just passed it when passed your exams, and you never studied like continuously. This is going to be very challenging for you, and definitely. And I don't think it's just my experience. I have asked everyone around here who have studied from even like VNITs, NITs, not IITs, but NITs and big colleges. I have people from Birla, BIT, BITS also. So they are the same. It is not easy here as we expected. So it's definitely hard. And I think if someone coming from India, they might also want to do a part-time job to earn some money. So with that and everything else going on, it is really tough. So
So
take
how
into
do
consideration that it will take a lot of efforts. And
definitely,
if you're not
definitely.
ready for it, don't risk yourself.
Mhm.
Hi, Sakib. Hi, Sakib. How are you doing?
Yeah. Hi. How are you, Krishna?
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, so can you tell about your experience at GW?
GW, I really like this college, the university. At first, I thought it's like so my university is located like just a kilometer away from White House, and after White House is just like Parliament of Supreme Court of United States. So it is very close to that area. So my college campus is very corporate. So all most of the building is like federal government buildings, WHO and IMF, and big buildings, federal government buildings. And our campus is not very big. Like if you go to University of Maryland, they have like town campus. So we don't have that. Even in my undergraduate, I didn't have any town campus. We were in located in the downtown, in back in my hometown. The same here, the university is located in downtown, so it's like city life. So I really like this. I think I will definitely won't love if I go to a town university, where if you once enter into university, you are inside university, you don't have anything else, just a university. But here it is like just a city. The buildings are, we have a university inside the city. So yeah, I definitely like the university. and the student organizations, events. I was never so involved in undergraduate in like extracurricular curricular activities, but I am enjoying here my life. It's really good here. But unfortunately, they have enforced a lockdown, and so in the spring when the spring session starts till the 18th of January, it is going to be online because of COVID.
Okay.
So how do you personally manage the uh, studies that you do on your individual level, and also at the same times, as you said,
That time.
individuals sometimes have to earn while learning, right? So how do you manage that? So it's a very big challenge. So that's the capability, not the capability of everyone. So how do you manage?
So yeah, so I was fortunate to have an offer letter even before my visa interview. So I got a on-campus job. I'm working as a student technical assistant here in law school. So as a international student on a student visa, you can only work 20 hours per a week. Okay, that's like legal.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not suggesting anyone to do illegal because I have heard people getting deported after they got caught. So the thing I will say, what keeps me going is anytime I feel like I'm burning out. The only thing I remember or say to myself, I just imagine where I come from. Okay, where I come from, like if I go back 2 years, if I go back 2 years in time, I can't imagine myself coming here. But I have made my way. I have worked really hard to come here, and when I feel burnout, I just remind myself where I started and where I am. And if I stop here, I have to keep going. I came here for a reason. I have taken like education loan, and now everything is on me. There is no one to support me here. So I'm the first one to come in the United States from my family or my extended family. So I know nobody's here to support me or anything. So I can't give up. That's my motive. I can't give up. I have to manage. So I work like 4 hours a day, and then I go to college. Then cooking is there, and everything is there. So I'm telling you, if you are having a good life in India, definitely I don't suggest. Definitely after graduation, after some time, the life will be much more better. But if you are not ready to struggle and go through this, please be ready and then come, because it's a lot.
Um,
Hi,
sir,
Taking
Saqib.
care of kids.
okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do have a
Sure.
question.
Okay. Can I
Okay, cool.
ask?
Okay, you did for Manas. Okay,
Yeah.
Manas, you can continue. I'll.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Agastya. Saki, first of all, congratulations for getting placed at such a huge university, like such a good university. So I just wanted to ask, like, why did you choose a master? Like, as you know, in cybersecurity, the experience or certifications are already there, like OSCP, CISSP. So there are so many certifications are already present. So why did you choose? Like, is there any advantage of getting masters or choosing masters for cybersecurity? So what's point of view for choosing masters? Could you please tell me?
Okay, so I did my computer engineering in computer science. I told you already, guys. So I didn't have any technical. I didn't have any academic knowledge in cybersecurity. Even though after that I have done several certifications and studied a lot, but still I wanted a formal education because at one point of my life, I don't wanted to be honest, I don't wanted to start as an average. I wanted to take a leap and take a big jump. So, and I also wanted to study cybersecurity as a formal education. I wanted to have a degree on it. So I think that's the main reason why I decided to do a master's and take this big steps instead of like settling down for like a entry level job, definitely I have to do entry level job. But the thing is, I wanted a formal education in it, in cybersecurity.
That's
So
great.
that's why
Okay, cool.
I
That's
think that's
great,
the
Sakib.
main reason was for me.
So actually, I'm also confused. Like, I also want to pursue a higher education at like cybersecurity or any abroad university. But the thing is that I'm literally confused. Like, people told me, work for 2-3 years, you will get some experience and you will get a good package in any like MNC or any other company. But at the same time, some people tell me go to the other university, go abroad, learn new things, interact with new people. I know it will add some more functionality or some kind of personality in my mind. So I'm literally confused how to choose masters or to choose a career. So could you please guide me? Like, what's your point of view on
Mhm.
this?
So it's very individual question, and it totally, and I mean, only you can decide. So people who say to get more exposure, learn new things, get a master's degree, go to abroad. So it is easy for them. For every individual is a different. So you also have to think about your financials. If you are capable of doing that, you also have to think about your career. Well, like what you want to do. If you have immediate goal, you have to support your family or anything like that. If you are flexible with time, you have time, you have no liability, like you don't have to support your family financially, and you are financially capable of it. Or even if you are not, if you want to take a loan, so are you ready to take a loan and go there, study, and are you okay to repay it back and take some time, and still you are able to do your future goal, whatever you want to do? Are you okay to do that? Then think about masters. But if you don't have any financial, if you don't have financial capability, stability, and you don't think you can afford it, or it will be too much to do it, or you have financially a liability that you have to support your family immediately, and you have some other plan of, like, for example, marriage, you want to marry soon, something like that, or you don't think it's I don't want to take a loan and repay back and then take some years to just repay it. So that's how you should be asking your questions to yourself, what do you want to do. So if you are, I told you two different situations. So if you have everything what it takes to do masters, then definitely do it. It won't be a waste. But if you don't have those things, so it doesn't make sense to take this much risk. It is very good to uh, do some certifications in India itself, start your career, and once you get your first job, right, then it is easier to get another job, and from that you can have a good career, really
Yes.
good career.
Right. I got my answer. Thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah.
So just last one answer, like only one question. Like after your master, what's your goal? Like many of us like to start a new your startup or get into the community. So what's your goal? Like, are you going to join any company or are you going to start your own startup or own your firm, or like as a security researcher?
Okay, so as of now, my plan changed very dramatically. But as of now, my plan is to complete my masters. Then I want to work for a company, big company, hopefully maybe Fang. If you are dreaming, dream big. So hopefully in a Fang, I will work here for 3 years, and then I might end up doing MBA, and then I will after doing like satisfying my urge to do a technical role, sitting behind a computer and do offensive security. I might do it, and after that, I might end up doing my, MBA, and then as of now, I plan to come back India and do something like startup.
Well, that's great, Sakib. How did you apply to the GWU or GUW?
GW.
GW.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So I'd like to listen to your story of applying to the GW?
Okay, so initially I was planning to come in 2020. Like I started my GRE, IELTS, TOEFLs, or all other studies, my preparing my statement of purpose, resume, and everything in 2019 itself. And I applied for 2020 intake. I got admission, everything, but my university was like not autonomous university. So till March or May, my exam was not done. So my final semester exam happened in October 2020, and that was already late to do visa interview and go to join to US university. So I was not able to fly in 2020. But then for some time I thought of like dropping the idea of going and pursue career in India. And then I applied again, and this time I applied to more universities, more bigger university, because I already have few admits back in my hands. So I know that I already have admits from like maybe mid-level universities. So this year I applied to only high-level universities. And after my research, the one thing I choose to choose George Washington University is because I knew, even though it was federal work, but Maryland, Washington DC, and Virginia, these are like three neighbors, and they are said as DMV: DC, Maryland, and Virginia. So these three states are very focused, like they have very good contribution to the cybersecurity, even though it was like they are federal towards a federal government or like government based, but they have lots of things going on in cybersecurity. I think that's the reason I chose George Washington University, apart from all other my university admits. And also they were giving me good amount of scholarship, and also it was like in downtown. I wanted to a city life, modern life, not a like a town college. So I think that's why I choose George Washington University.
I read many blogs and articles wherein they say that for specifically for US, US universities are waiving GRE. Is it still true?
GRE waiving.
Yeah.
So yeah, as of now, because of COVID, they are they making an exception, and it is truth. I think one of your intern colleague, Krishna Prasad, he's been in touch with me. He have given the GRE, IELTS, TOEFL, and I think he's already done a lot of process, and he will be coming in, I think, fall 2022.
Is it for the same
And
note?
yeah, GRE waiver is a thing. You have to look into whatever is your specific university. If they are having a GRE waiver, you can apply with it. But you have to make sure if you don't have GRE, your profile should be really good. They need something to select you. So GRE was one of the reason. If you have a good GRE score, they know your aptitude is strong, your English is strong, you have something. But if you are not giving GRE, make sure you have very good profile, so that they have something to judge you, they have something to give you admit for.
Okay, so I do have a question.
Yeah.
Am I being audible? So I
Yeah.
do keep, uh, I do keep hearing sirens repeated. So you sure you didn't hack into anything this morning?
What again?
So I do keep hearing sirens repeatedly. So are you sure like you didn't hack into this morning? Hack into anything?
No. So it's like the fire. We have like in our university itself, we have this GWPD. So they just keep running around for small things. People here just call 911 for silly things. So the fire brigades just keep running from my in front of my house. So it's not a big thing.
Okay, so that was a failed sarcasm anyway. Okay, so my question was, what was the main difference did you find out? Yes, we do know there is a knowledge difference between how we are and how they are. So is it the teachers or is it the students which mainly cause the difference?
What do you say as a student or?
So we'll have to accept that they are more better than us in cybersecurity. Like if you consider any typical college, right?
Mhm.
So is it the students or is it the teachers which mainly cause the difference?
Oh, okay, it's like if you have to tell you the difference, why it is different.
What did you find the main difference in? Like, is it like uh, we know they are better, so why they are better? Like, are the students punctual or the teaching is better?
Definitely both of them. Students are more punctual, especially where I come from my university. The people was around me, all of the people I know, people are here are very punctual about their studies, their education. So in my masters, in my class, so I have like many people who are like 50, 60, even 60, 30, 32, 38, 40. They thought just they want to study something and they just come up. In India, I don't think we do that. We just complete our studies if we want to do it, and once we jump into our career, we don't go back to studies. But these people are, the people already have like 3 degrees already, but they still want to do one more. They are doing it. Professors like uh, in especially my university, the professor, the most they have is like MTech or PhD. But here, professors in my university for cybersecurity, they release like one international paper at least in a month. They release at least one international paper. That's a very big thing. So in month, like I would say one. I said one professor. So definitely they have like 5 to 6, at least 5 to 6 international papers from our university every month, and also funding. So in my university, we have 2 national scholarship that I am not eligible as an international student. For American, they have 2 scholarships. So once you get admit, it is like 99% that you will get the scholarship, and both of the scholarships is like your tuition fees will be fully waived off, and you will also get a like stipends to for your living expenses. And the stipend itself is like very, you can live a very lavish lifestyles with that stipend. And even after that, they will give you a job offer in federal government for 1 year, and you have to work at least for 1 year. So the government, isn't that our government is not doing anything, but they have like investing so much money in research, especially in research. So we also have this cybersecurity, privacy and research institute. So they have like millions and billions of investment for research funding. So they spend a lot of money in research in cybersecurity, and I'm just talking about cybersecurity. So I read, I don't remember the digits, but there's some amounts of millions of funding every year from like private sector or like from government sector for cybersecurity research just for our university. So if you see, every university must have got some kind of funding, and they have this scholarship. So they are promoting very much for people. It's just like they're giving a degree for free. Just you just have to learn, you just need it. And also technologies and everything, they have, I think it's all about funding. They have a lot of funding. The government is stable. They have stable currency and everything. So that's why they are more investing on it, and that's why this little bit different. That's the difference between the from other countries' education and here.
Yes, that was interesting. So I'll just clear out few basic questions. I guess please ask the question that Is it fine to do masters after doing 2 years of job?
Oh, yeah. So I think definitely if it is flexible for you. So I don't wanted to do a job before because I thought once I start doing job, I will build up liabilities and then I won't be able to get out of it. I won't be able to just leave my career over there and just start a new life from doing a master. That's why I decided to just directly jump after graduation. But I would definitely suggest you, like recommend you, if you can do it, first take some experience, have some exposure, then come after master. It will be really easy for you as compared to if you are directly coming into doing a master's, because the course curriculum will be a lot tougher, and also you have to find internship and your job. So it will really help, really ease your pain if you have some experience. So if you can do it, please definitely do it.
Thank
Sakib,
you.
one more
Yes, yes,
question.
sure.
Yes.
So, why did you choose a computer science with cybersecurity specialization rather than going with cybersecurity? I know you got admits to direct cybersecurity also, and you could have taken 9 credits worth of subjects in core security. So, why did you choose this one?
So I thought I already have gained, I already have good, I mean, like enough amount of experience or knowledge in cybersecurity, like cybersecurity, and I wanted to be a jack of all. At least not if masters, but I wanted to be a jack of all, jack of all. So I'm telling you, from my personal experience, security engineering is the biggest position you can get in cybersecurity as a fresher, and you won't be able to get it without computer science experience, good computer science experience. So I am looking for that position. So, and I figured it out very soon. So that's why I wanted to take on to computer security, not just cybersecurity. That's why I chose this one. It's just like my personal. I don't think I will be able to give a good answer for it, like for everyone. It's just my personal thing that I wanted to do more into computer rather than just going into core security, just only security.
Yeah, I got your point.
Uh, I get my Yeah, sure. So let's say you're applying for a campus in college, they might be selecting you on some basis, right? So what made you stand out? Like, were you good in academics or did you have any practical knowledge?
So also my academic was good. I had like 8.5 out of 10, my overall CGPA. And I think the what thing made me stand out more. I had like lot of, if you even go to my LinkedIn profile, you will see lot of certifications, even though it's not like very reputed, but I have good amount of certifications. So I have that to mention there. And I had a work experience of 8 months, and I did that job while I was in third year. So I think that was like very rare thing for someone. So when I was in fifth semester, I started working full time as a software developer, and I worked there for 8 months because my college was not accepting it anymore. They weren't allowing me to do it, so I had to give up on that. But I think that was like one of my biggest achievement, that I got a full-time job while I was in third year itself, and I think that's what made me stand out for my
Okay.
applications.
Yes, we'll be noting those things out. And like I had a question regarding the SOP. Like you'll have to write, give the statement of purpose, right? So can you give a little bit of your insight on that? Like how did you structure your SOP?
So in 2020, I didn't work much on my SOP because I didn't have that much knowledge. but in 2019, sorry, but in 2020, when I was applying for this year intake, I spent like 2 months only on my resume and SOP. I just made it as beautiful as I can make it. So the statement of purpose is basically, in 3 words, I would say, I don't know if even if it is a thing, but I wrote it like, I will say it like past, present, and future. What you have done in past that contributes to cybersecurity, that aligns to what you are applying for, what your master's applying for. In present, what you currently are doing for cybersecurity, for community, for everyone around you, or for yourself, what you are doing in cybersecurity. And in future, after graduating, what you want to do, how you want to contribute to the world, to yourself, or what is your goal. So that's it. Like I told them I did these projects, I did these seminars, webinars in my undergraduate that built my this knowledge or this confidence. Currently, I'm pursuing this certification. I'm also part of this organization, like that. And there was another question: why your university? Why particularly our university? So if like GW, I have to tell them why GW. I told them they have a research institute that is like very well funded, and the location is very great. That there are a lot of conference going on every month, so on. And in future, I told them about what I want to pursue as my future, what I want to do with my career, what is my like immediate plan, a long-term plan, all of this thing.
So, what do I do? Like you might have friends, right? Who might have gone, of course, who joined same college as yours. So, if I will to apply for colleges, so like, can you suggest me what should I be doing? Like a little cheat code that would boost up my selection process.
Okay, so if you are applying for cybersecurity, it's just simple. Build your whole environment in cybersecurity. Like if you have to make your, if you someone sees your resume, someone sees your statement of purpose, if he reads it, he should be knowing that you have so much interested in cybersecurity, that past, present, future, currently, and everything you have done. uh, Whenever you get time, you have done something in cybersecurity and you are interested in it, and you hardly want to pursue career in it. So if this selection committee sees this in the university, they will know this is like, this student is worth investing. So he has done a lot already in cybersecurity, and he wants to pursue a career in this, and definitely he will ace in the program. So you want to in about the backlogs and curriculum thing, definitely it will affect your college selection. It is just some universities might consider your some universities are like, they won't consider if you have a backlog. They won't consider you. They will just reject you, and they say just we won't be able to accept you because of your academics. But some university won't take it into much consideration, and they will look into your resume, your experience, what you have done, what you will be doing, what you currently doing, what you have done in past. So yeah, it depends upon university to university. What I can suggest you is to contribute. That makes very much different. Like in India, I like, while I was in, I haven't much of contribution, like not insane level, but I portrayed it. Whatever I had, I portrayed it, that I have contributed. It's not just I have gained knowledge, I have shared experience with everyone, I helped other people. So try to, if you have college, start a club, be involved in a club, do something, do sessions, webinars, give out. Start writing a blog, something like that, walkthroughs, and portray it, that you are doing it also to gain knowledge, but also at the same time to share the knowledge with other peoples. Yeah, that makes a lot of difference here.
Yes, yes, surely. I'll note that down. So, guys, is anyone up?
Okay, guys, thank you very much for joining and giving your time. I really appreciate that. I hope I made a yeah. Thank you a lot for sir for giving me this opportunity. Like, I think I had made some difference in all of your decision. I have contributed a little bit, and also I'm on LinkedIn. I think if someone, or maybe I will just share it on in the chat. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ping me on a LinkedIn, and I will really take out my time and give you. Oh, here it is. Krishna already gave us. So please join me on LinkedIn, and if you have any questions, please shoot me questions, and I will definitely answer it. Even if I will take little while, but I will definitely answer them. And I'm thankful for VIH Group for giving me this chance to portray my experience. And I think I had some of the people to make their decision. And also, I would like to also tell you guys this Krishna Prasad is a. I think I'm not updated about his. Did he already apply to university and got any admission?
Yeah, I have not yet got admissions, but I am currently applying. Already filled it and
Okay.
will submit tomorrow. I'm
So-
going to submit.
So if you also need like a very peer-to-peer discussion, Krishna Prasad is also there. You can just ping him. He have just gone through all the process, so he knows everything. So he can tell you everything. And I would love to see you here
Thank you, sir.
next year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, we'll meet
Uh,
next year.
Sir, I would like to have your permission.
Yes,
It's my pleasure, sir.
thank you, guys.
Thank you, Sakib, for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sakib.
Bye, everyone. Just feel free to reach me out if you have any questions. I would love to answer all of your questions. Okay. Bye, guys. Good night.
Chalo, bye.
Good night, everyone.